It has to be in the mindset.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Simmler?
Yeah, for us it's, I would say, set your vision, follow your vision, be curious, look what there is on the market, try to find solutions for solve the problems or the issues the customers have, and be not standard. Try to be unique and try to be different than the others.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we come to the question and answer part. If we can get a few questions, can we? We don't have time.
We do. Let's do.
Yeah.
We have 15 minutes question answer.
Okay, please. The lady had a question. Bayan.
I want to be a little bit innovation. This is it. When I go to international congresses, then after speeches, the plenarium asks, even after, this brings innovation because there are new ideas. Only one person cannot have all questions. There are a lot of questions which will grow. So this is an international culture which is a little bit not hierarchic. So when I was on congresses, so this is what I wanted to say, that we can change here this question culture. This is why I asked. But I have a lot of questions. One question is that Cem, Tüfekçi and Şelale, Zaim, we are very proud of you. And for me, it's very interesting how they integrate you as a person in the company, not like what did your mother say? Come on, now you are 10 years. How they integrate you to the company, you know what I mean? Or now, what is the really way? Did the mother say, come on? Or how you go with them to the office? And how they started? We have two ways, I think. Is the question understandable? Yeah. This is a big chance.
Introduce themselves, that would be lovely.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm Dr. Bilgan Köhl. I'm archaeologist and a very creative person. I have a company for museum, and I see in Turkey the museum standard is very low. Only in Istanbul it's okay. And we have a big problem in the Western society, the image of Islam. And Turkish people are very bad. We have Islamophobia. And the Muslims are calling, well, we don't. So I want to, as a Western person, I grew up in Germany. I married a private banker. And so I have a son. So I'm moving and I want to be creative. This is why I'm here, because I think it's a chance to understand innovation, family offices, and culture.
Our family is kind of a big family, and ever since I'm a kid, like we have in our family gatherings, we usually didn't talk about business, but the family business is always there in the background. Like both of my parents work in the family business, so they would be talking about it at dinners. And even when I was in high school or middle school, I was going to summer internships in our companies. I was, as a 10-year-old, I would sit in the phone central and answer phones. So that is actually one way to get the children involved. And another thing, I'm kind of drawing blank, so I'll just pass it on to you.
Yeah, as a 10-year-older, I had nothing to do with the business. I was just like playing around, doing sports and everything, and until, let's say, very later age. I mean, until after college. Like during college, we were talking about in casual talks about business and everything. But I was doing my studies and everything. But I didn't get involved in the business at all. But after graduation, I just came in and right away started with the family business. My story was like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I remembered what I was going to say, actually. I actually grew up looking up to my parents and like wanted to go into the family business, and that was my goal from the start. That's why I became an engineer as opposed to a dancer, I guess. So it's a problem for a lot of the next gen that we do end up sometimes in jobs that or like positions that we would not have picked otherwise. But after my college degree, I actually interned at our American partner for a summer, and where I was like measuring and chopping steel wheels and going into factories. So I was like, this is not for me. I can't do this. My parents were always supportive, like you can do whatever you want as long as you don't waste your intellectual energy. So I actually was outside of the family companies for 8 years. I was working in healthcare, which is not one of our goals or one of our sectors at all. Then I was working in banking, also not one of our sectors. And after 8 years, I saw an opportunity in the family for this family office, and the family also had a need for this. So that's how I ended up with the family. But I'm actually not with the family business at all. I'm with the family in this situation.
Okay. Any other questions? Doğan Bey. Microphone.
I think I'm the winner of the microphone. So
Okay. Okay, please.
I think innovation is a must for all the companies. I think the most important thing, which I would like to ask, especially Ms. Zaim about it, the important thing is how the system, decision-making system, works in a family business. This is the most important thing. Whenever I remind you that China, for the last several years, they had 278 patents in electronics and electromechanics. So under this condition, innovation is a must. For example, on television, you can see it easily. In 6 months, the whole technology is changing. Also, in your business, is changing. But the important thing is there are a lot of distortions in the family business, especially in decision-making process. And as being a lawyer in my profession, I have seen a lot of family business decision-making mistakes, which cost billions of dollars now. So for that reason, how you could avoid the distortion when it comes to the innovation, especially in the family business. I'm especially asking you, Mr. Zaim, because you have a successful example. How did you get it? How did you work the system? This is important because there are uncles, grandfathers, mothers, a lot of distortion or a lot of helping decision-making bodies. We can think both. Thank you very much.
I think a very important part of our family culture is justice and being just. I think that's kind of lies at the bottom of a successful family. So when my grandfather passed away, I know in some families what they will do is like they will give the business to the sons and like the daughters will get the money. There's like talk about like the house and things like that. But what my mother and her sisters did was just like they divided everything into 5. There are 5 sisters. And anything that's indivisible by 5, they liquidate it and they divide it by 5. And because little things in the long run sometimes cause problems, and especially when the balances start changing. So that's one thing. Another thing is like there is something called the founder's syndrome. So the original entrepreneur, because his original idea was so successful, always starts thinking that all of his ideas are going to be successful. He doesn't listen to other people. So in our case, when the second generation took over, that was one of the challenges they faced. So they themselves were extra careful not to enforce ideas, not to make harsh decisions. So in that way, it's kind of slowed down the decision process. And now the third generation is coming and saying, why aren't we doing anything new? Why are we still in this automotive business that is not growing much? So, and third generation is like pushing it. So, and the third thing that I will say is like we value change of leadership a lot. In our company, the board, the chairman of the board, changes every 3 years now. It's going to be 5 years starting from now. So the governance systems are really important. We change our governance systems. In the 10 years, our governance system has changed a lot, and it's constantly progressing as well. Now we have a CEO, CFO at the holding level. We have separated the holding board from the executive board as well. So decision-making processes, you have to make them more professional, and you have to detach them from the individuals.
Thank you. Anything else? Last question. The last one. Okay.
Okay. My question, at the first presentation from our Prince of Liechtenstein, we hear that they have a family governance since 1504, over 600 years. And somehow that regulation, that family rules, kept the family together. And having the family together, keeping it, kept the businesses together. So I believe one of the first rules is keeping the family together. Do you have plans like that to keep the family together so the businesses stays together and you have more muscle at the end as a whole group? Okay. Or how do you do this?
I've been talking too much, so I will refer it
to. Keeping the family together was our main objective, let's say. Business part always came second. And that's why my grandfather has arranged everything in a way that three major companies, families, let's say, has different powers on different businesses. So making that, I think, helped, of course, keeping the family together. So maybe that answers your question a little bit. But going onwards, we will have a lot of planning to do, of course. But the transition phase from the first generation to the second and the third being involved was governed like this. So once that was settled, then there was no even question about it.
Okay. So I thank very much our speakers for their contributions and to the audience for their participation in the program, this part of the program. May we have an applause for our speakers, please?